Hi, in this video we will see how do we use OAuth 2.0 authentication method in our REST API connectors. OAuth 2.0 is a protocol that allows users to grant third-party services to access the user's protected resources without revealing any credentials or identity of the user. This is an open standard which is supported by all the major third-party services. So let's start by adding a REST API connector. In this video we will use Box Service as the example for API authentication. It is a file sharing and collaboration tool that we will try to integrate with our Studio app. We will give it a category name and the description and add an icon for the same. Now click on Continue. The Box's developer portal states that the authentication type is OAuth 2.0. So let me go ahead and select that as my authentication method. Here we can configure the required custom fields for the connection. Since Box allows standard fields, so we need not add any here. The next step is to copy this redirect URL in the Box's client application. In Box we need to create a client application from the developer portal. Let me create a new application, select the custom app. Next select standard OAuth 2.0 user authentication. Here we will give a name to our app and then click on Create App. Once our app is created we need to paste the redirect URL in the redirect URL section. This is basically once the user authenticates to the Box service, the access token along with few other parameters will be passed to this URL. Here we can give additional permissions to the application. I will add manage users here and I'll add the redirect URL in the allowed origin section as well. Next I will save these changes. Now I will copy these client ID and client secrets in the Studio configuration in this third step. Here you can see you can also access the client ID using auth.clientID within the double curly braces, and similarly client secret can be accessed using auth.clientSecret. So this will be required to call our API in the subsequent API request. So in the fourth step, as you can see, some standard keys are pre-filled in our query request. Here we will need to get the authorization URL. So we will go over to the developer portal, locate the authorization URL and copy it and paste it over here. So this is a standard request parameter and response type code will return the authorization code. The client ID will be retrieved using auth.clientID. Similarly, the callback URL will be fetched using auth.callback URL. And next we have these two options, state and scope. So scope is basically the permissions which are added in our portal. Here we can add multiple scopes. We will add root_read write and manage app users scope. This will allow us permission to manage users and read and write files in our account. This scope is being used in the scope parameter using auth.scope. After the authorization URL is called, once the user approves the sign-in request, we will be redirected to the given callback URL. From there this access token API will be called. So we will have to get the resource of the access token. Here we can copy it from the developer portal and paste it here. Here the difference is this is a post request, which is a body parameter. And similar to the earlier request we can see the pre-filled configuration here. The grant type over here is authorization code and the code we will get from the previous API using response.code parameter. So the authorized URL response can be accessed using the response keyword followed by code parameter, since that API returns an authorization code in the code key. Other two properties are also the same as the previous two sections. Now on calling the access token, we will get the access token for a limited time validity. The typical validity of the access token is 1 hour. In order to auto-refresh the token we have a refresh token logic. Here I will have to check this option that says I want to automatically refresh on unauthorized error. And I will get the endpoint of the refresh access token from developer portal. The endpoint is the same as access token API, the only difference is the grant type over here is refresh token. So the body part is the standard as before. The response of the previous API we will get in the OAuth keyword. So in OAuth keyword, the previous API response with access token and refresh token can be accessed using this parameter. Now next we need to configure a test API to call and check whether this is working fine. So let's add a simple getProfile API, and it does not have any query string parameter, so we will click on continue. So now since our configuration is done, we will have to test if all the settings have been done correctly. Let me click on the test, and here it will ask me to log in into the Box portal if I am not logged already. And once I am logged in, it will prompt us to grant the required access. Now it will call our test API, and in the response we can see the response of our profile API. So this seems to be correctly configured. I will now close this, and here you can see my Box integration connector has been added. Now I will have to add an account using this Manage Account option. I will give it a friendly name and submit. And now it is again asking for the same grant access. Once this is done, you can see my account has been added successfully. Now the next step of adding the API to this category is the same as other REST API types. I will add a simple API to get a list of folder items. Method type is get with the following URL. Here dynamic parameters in path params can be added using single curly braces. Now once I focus out, I will see an additional parameter under path params, which is the folder ID which we have added. Folder ID for the box is basically the internal id given to folder by box. So I will give it as 0 so it will fetch root folder details. Under authentication I will have to select the account which I have added. Rest all the parameters are the same. Since the header is empty but the authentication type is OAuth, so internally when I do a test and save, additional authorization key will be passed in the API request along with the bearer space access token added in the API call. Now once I test and save this, we will see a list of folders present in the root folder. So here it returned the success response with 2 entries. One is a folder named My Documents and the other one is a file named Google Docs.png. We can go to our Box account and verify the same. This is my Box account with the same login credentials. And I can see here are 2 items with the same names. Now let us see what are the contents of my document folder. I will just copy this folder id of my documents and I will enter it as the test value in the path params. Again on test and saving this, we will be able to see all the files in this folder. Again I can verify the same, here in my Box account. Our API is working fine, and the only thing we need to do it that since this is a dynamic parameter, we will have to enable this toggle and we can give a default value if we want. In the advanced section we can give it a friendly name, make it mandatory and add some help text. We will have to again test and save to save these settings and then we can close it. So using this API on our application is the same as we use other API or connectors. There are videos present on our YouTube channel which you can browse to know more about that. So this is how we configure OAuth2.0 authentication type in our REST API connectors. Thank you for watching. For more videos visit our YouTube page.